Super Mario Galaxy is my favorite video game of all time. And there we go, that's it. Okay, not really. But seriously though, I'm not entirely sure how to even begin talking about this game. When I started doing these types of videos, I guess it was only inevitable that I'd eventually want to talk about something that means as much to me as Galaxy does. And yet the weird thing is that despite all the things I could talk about here, there's just something difficult about that with this game in particular. And I think I know why that is. Super Mario Galaxy is a game very much unlike most others. There's this certain magic to it that I can't quite describe, but it's definitely there. And if you've played the game for yourself, then I think you might have an idea of what I'm trying to describe. There's a lightning in a bottle kind of magic that's caused this game to be remembered so fondly so long after its release. There's something about Super Mario Galaxy that makes it stand out, and it's that same thing that makes so many people consider it to be one of their favorite games ever made. I consider myself one of those people, and today I wanted to dive a little bit deeper into Mario Galaxy and try to suss out what exactly makes it so special, because I think with a game like this, it goes far beyond basic factors like good level design or nice graphics. Even within the Mario franchise itself, there's a uniqueness to Galaxy, a type of special quality that's specifically its own. So let's dive in, shall we? Grab your star bits, put on your bee suit, and let's see if we can find out just what is the ethereal beauty of Super Mario Galaxy. I think the title screen alone is very indicative of the kind of game Mario Galaxy sets out to be. More importantly, it's key in showing the different kind of adventure it aims to be compared to other games in the series. Like, to demonstrate what I'm talking about, let's take a minute and compare this title screen to previous games in the series. Here's the opening of Super Mario 64. Here's the opening theme for Super Mario Sunshine. And now here's Mario Galaxy's title theme. It's not nearly as upbeat as the others. It doesn't have that sense of fun that they had. Rather, it has this sense of mystery to it. It's more contemplative. It tells the player that the adventure they're about to embark on might not go quite the way they expect. For a Mario game, at least. I'm going to touch on the music a lot more later, but for now I want to talk about the opening hours of the game, the first thing a player is going to experience when they play the game for the very first time. The game opens up on the night of the Star Festival, a celebration held every 100 years when a special comet passes over the skies of the Mushroom Kingdom. Princess Peach invites Mario to the celebration, explaining that there's something she wants to give him. When you first take control of Mario, it's right as the Star Festival is beginning, and I really like how this opening area looks, you know, just the toads running around and all the colorful star bits falling from the sky. I especially love this bit where you go up to the top of the hill and you can see the town and Peach's castle across the lake. I don't know, it's really nice looking. So you make your way down to the town where all the toads are gathering star bits, and it's really nice, and I think if there's something Galaxy does really well right off the bat, it's... Well, that didn't take very long. Almost immediately, an armada of airships attack, laying waste to the festival. Mario runs through the chaos as toads are encased in unbreakable crystals. Like clockwork, Bowser arrives on the scene to ruin everyone's day and announce his newest evil plan. The whole sequence represents a very unique thing for Mario Galaxy going forward, and that's the fact that there's a level of seriousness to the whole thing. In nearly every other game, the Mario series retains a sense of cartoonishness and this tongue-in-cheek attitude, but here the scenario is played straight as an arrow, as Bowser summons his army and Peach watches on in, well, okay, I'm not entirely sure what emotion that's supposed to be. Point is, things are bad. Mario races towards the castle as the princess cries out for help, dodging a bunch of falling meteors, and as soon as he arrives... The entirety of Peach's castle is lifted high into the air by Bowser's airships, going higher and higher, continuing to ascend until it hangs above the planet. Before Mario can even do anything, a Magic Koopa appears and throws him off the castle, sending him plummeting back towards the planet as the whole castle vanishes. And then, well, this happens.
Oh. Oh.
It's quite the shift, isn't it? A literal minute ago, this giant action set piece was going down with this intense as hell music in the background. And now, here we are, on this small planet with much slower music, playing hide and seek with some bunnies. It's this interesting dichotomy between these different tones, and it's something we're going to be seeing a lot of later on. I'll talk about it when we get there, but right now, we gotta catch these bunnies. So Mario runs around this little planet and catches the bunnies, who transform into these weird star things when they're caught. They're called Lumas, by the way, and we're going to be seeing a lot of them later on. Once all the Lumas are caught, they reveal this small structure, and when Mario climbs to the top of it, he meets this woman. This is Rosalina, protector of the cosmos and guardian of the Lumas. The meeting is rather short though, as Rosalina entrusts Mario with one of her Lumas and sends him off to find something called a Grand Star. Mario jumps around on a few planets, murders some Goombas, and ends up in a large room housing some machine. He shuts down the machine and rescues the big star trapped inside of it. The Grand Star takes Mario to the Comet Observatory, the home of Rosalina and the Lumas. It's here where Rosalina explains that before the game began, Bowser discovered the Comet Observatory and stole its energy source, the Power Stars, for himself. Bowser then used the power of the Power Stars to kidnap the princess and travel to the center of the universe. Rosalina asks Mario to help restore the observatory's lost energy by traveling to different galaxies and finding more Power Stars. When enough energy is restored, they can travel to the center of the universe, defeat Bowser, and rescue the princess. And there we go, that's our setup. In retrospect, it's very similar to most other games in the series in that it follows similar story beats. Bowser kidnaps the princess, Mario meets some new friend who helps him along the way, and he goes off to collect a bunch of collectibles. At this stage in the adventure, there really isn't much to say. Really, the more in-depth stuff comes later, and that's where things get really interesting. So I guess we should start by heading to our first galaxy. Mario accesses each group of galaxies by going into these things. They're called domes, and they're spread around the observatory. The first dome you go to, the Terrace, starts with only one galaxy, but you unlock more as you collect Power Stars. So you go to this first galaxy, and as soon as it starts, the first big thing about this game becomes readily apparent. It was a very interesting choice putting Mario in a more galactic setting. I mean, especially after the last game, Super Mario Sunshine, which was far more grounded with where it took place. But I think the idea of traveling across galaxies works well for a series as cartoonish as Mario, because it really allows you to go all out with the concept and try out some wacky ideas that wouldn't work in a more realistic setting. There are plenty of galaxies for Mario to explore in the game, and they stand out because nearly all of them try something different. It never feels like the game is dragging its feet. The Honey Hive Galaxy is a large kingdom ruled by bees where you fly around in a bee suit. The Buoy Base Galaxy is a giant tower covered in obstacles that you have to scale to get to the star on top. The Toy Time Galaxy has you running across blocks and toys and all sorts of things, fighting a giant Mecha Bowser and dealing with the terrible controls of Spring Mario. There's never a dull moment in Galaxy, there's always something new to see. And I think part of what makes some of these galaxies so fun, for me at least, is that some of them feel like legit worlds that people would actually live in. I mentioned the Honey Hive Galaxy a minute ago. I like this one because not only is it one of the game's more open worlds, but there's also kind of like a narrative going on with it. The first mission has you going around exploring each planet, while the second mission introduces these big mandibug creatures that have taken over their big watchtower, so you gotta go take care of them. Then in the third mission, the mandibugs take over the entire kingdom, so you have to head on over to their leader's base and take him out. I really like the sense of progression here. The Beach Bowl and Sea Slide galaxies might be my two favorites in the game. They're both open as well, allowing a player to explore them more at their own pace. And again, they feel like their own little worlds. Toads and penguins are just hanging out, swimming and stuff. I love how alive some of these places can feel. They're not just obstacle courses to get past, they're actual places. On the opposite side of the spectrum, however, there are some galaxies in this game that are far less inviting, though no less interesting. The Space Junk Galaxy is a graveyard filled with ancient and decaying machinery and ruins. The Big Mouth Galaxy is a giant cave with ghosts swimming around in gravity-defying water. The Matter Splatter Galaxy is this big black void with a bunch of platforms that pop in and out of existence. Your timing has to be just right so you don't accidentally fall into the dark nothingness. Just as Galaxy is able to make things feel bright and cheerful, so too is it able to create this sense of wariness, of unease. And I think this works with the concept of space in general. Like, space is pretty big, a lot bigger than we can comprehend. And there's probably all sorts of weird stuff out there that we don't know exists. And it's kind of scary thinking about all the things that may or may not be out there. But it's also kind of exciting thinking of all the cool stuff that exists in space for us to possibly find. Mario Galaxy emphasizes the unknowability of space, the bizarre strangeness of it all. It's able to do that with the galaxies themselves, but this also comes across with something as simple as its backgrounds. Yeah, a lot of galaxies have these nice blue and bright backdrops to set a lighter tone for that particular galaxy, but plenty others have these darker frameworks. They're just showing space in all its never-ending mystery. What I'm trying to get at here is that Mario Galaxy excels at getting across the feeling of its setting, and I think part of the game that helps with this tone is the game's music. Speaking of which, there's kind of a bunch of different angles that the game's soundtrack takes when it comes to portraying the central motifs of Super Mario Galaxy. Of course, that's the point of a soundtrack in a game or a movie, to add to whatever's going on screen. With Galaxy, I like the different kinds of music we have for it. We have the big, bombastic tracks that kind of invoke the wow factor of space. They have kind of like a Star Wars energy to them, you know, they have this grand feeling to them. But then on the flip side, you have the slower paced tracks. These ones feel less thrilling and more, I don't know, speculative? Like, they kind of have that feeling of mysticism, that unknowability of what lies beyond our own understanding of space. And then you got the music that's just here to remind you that yes, you are still playing a Mario game. What I want you to understand about this is that, like the many interpretations of space itself, the soundtrack is varied and it works to convey how the concept can be seen. And more than that, it also works to convey a sense of emotion. Now, the soundtrack for a Mario game trying to convey emotion is actually a bit more of a big deal than you might think, specifically when it comes to the mainline series of games. I say this because Mario games trying to reach for something other than cartoonish happiness only really exists in the side games. You know, the RPGs, Paper Mario, that sort of thing. The tone of the mainline games has typically remained stagnant. They all kind of share that bright and happy feeling to them, and even when the situation on screen is different, you still always have that tongue-in-cheek feeling in the back of your mind. Galaxy is different because it invokes the sense that not everything is always so cheerful. There are other elements to this one. There's a sense of unease, loneliness, sadness. The concept of sadness, actually, is strangely prevalent in this game. Strange for a Mario game, I should clarify. This is of course due in part to the music, but there's another factor to this, and to look at it closer, I kinda need to talk about the new character that Super Mario Galaxy introduces. The character that, because of how they were handled here, became such a fan favorite of the series. I am, of course, referring to Captain Toad! Who doesn't love Captain Toad? I mean, look at him! He's adorable! I love this guy so much! Where's Treasure Tracker 2? I'll buy 20! Okay, for real though, let's talk about Rosalina. So a while into the game, after you've collected a good number of power stars, you'll return to the Comet Observatory like usual, and you'll get this message. Rosalina's library has opened, now you can read the storybook. Now, a new player will probably wonder to themselves what the library is supposed to be. What's the storybook? And they might assume it's an extra thing, you know, like a bonus room with concept art or something. So you'll head to the library, you'll walk on inside, and...
Ooh.
Let us begin.
I don't really know how to start talking about Rosalina's storybook, because it in itself is such a hefty topic, and if you've played the game for yourself, then you probably know why. So I guess what I'll do is sum it up first, and then we can talk about what exactly it means in the grand scheme of things. Okay. In the book, Rosalina tells the story of a young girl who, one day, discovers a crashed spaceship with a baby Luma inside of it. The Luma is waiting for its mother, and so to keep it company, the girl decides to wait with it. Years pass, and when the mother still hasn't shown up, the two decide to repair the spaceship and journey out into space to find her. After a while, the girl and the Luma come across a comet, which they land on. Miraculously, the comet seems to contain a bunch of furniture and building materials under its outer layer of ice. The two decide to use the materials to build themselves a home, and they continue searching for the Luma's mother by flying around in their new comet house. In time, the two are finally able to locate the Luma's mother, but it doesn't stop there, as the planet the mother was hiding on just so happened to have a bunch of other Lumas hiding out on it as well. The girl decides to adopt the Lumas and move them into her comet house. Later on, the girl is looking through a telescope she brought with her, and she sees her old home. Looking at it, though, causes her to become homesick. She wants to go home. She wants to see her own mother. But she knows that's impossible. She knows that she can't see her own mother because she's sleeping under the tree on the hill. The Lumas are able to cheer her up, and the girl decides to remain on the comet to take care of the Lumas and travel through space with them. The comet passes by her home planet every 100 years, reminding the girl of her old home. Okay, so, if you haven't figured it out by now, the library and the storybook are how the game explores Rosalina's backstory. And as weird as this may sound, the term Rosalina's backstory is actually a lot more important than you might think. And I say this because, like, have you ever noticed how few Mario characters have actual backstories? Within the mainline series, I should stress. Spin-off games like Paper Mario and such have plenty of characters with personal histories and stuff, but within the mainline cast of characters, it's kind of difficult to think of any of them that have real, detailed backstories. We've never learned why Bowser and Peach are in positions of power. We've never learned what exactly toads are or where they came from. We've never learned exactly what Waluigi's deal is. And the reason for that, I think, is because that's never mattered. We don't need to know how Mario became the hero. All that matters is that he is the hero. And that's why the storybook is so memorable, because not only is it a detailed backstory to what would become a mainstay character in the Mario universe, but there's like emotion behind it. There's sadness to it. There's tragedy. I touched on this earlier, but here, this is what encapsulates what Super Mario Galaxy is trying to be. It's trying to be more than just the standard happy-go-lucky adventure that you expect from a franchise like this. It wants you to feel something. It wants you to think. And while that objective alone isn't anything unique in the gaming space itself, it is when it comes to Super Mario as a whole, because so few other games in this series manage to capture that feeling the same way this game does. It's so interesting to see here. And honestly, this kind of stuff just kind of goes for the rest of the game. There are so many things about Mario Galaxy, so many little inconsequential details that don't really matter, but that I just love. I love this mission in the Honey Hive Galaxy where you have to go rescue Luigi. So you go there and it's just this bug harassing him. And like, that's it. It just stands there until it sees Mario and then it freaks out and books it. I love the background of the Ghostly Galaxy. It's this trippy scene of all these ghost-like figures rising from the dark end and fading into the light. What are these things? Are they just cosmic apparitions, or are they actually deceased souls going to the afterlife? Or maybe there's something else entirely. I love the main theme for the Comet Observatory and how as you collect more and more power stars, it grows and grows as the ship gets more active. I love the garden. It's the last dome that you can unlock, and it's located at the very top of the observatory. There's no music here, it's just some ambient sounds of nature. And it's like, after everything you've been through up to now, after all the stars you've found, all the planets you've seen, all the bosses you've fought and defeated, you get here and it's just quiet. Galaxy has a lot of these quiet moments. Every time you defeat a boss, the music calms down. Whenever you enter a dome, the music slows down. And the reason these moments are so important is because of what I said earlier. The game insists on being more than what came before or after in the series. It has emotion. It is emotional. And it's just so weird because, like, of all the things to make me feel this way, it's Mario. Yeah, it's Mario. Speaking of Mario, I think it's about time we go and save that princess. In time, Mario is able to gather enough stars to fully power up the Comet Observatory. Rosalina uses the comet to travel all the way to the center of the universe, where Bowser and his forces are waiting. As far as final levels go, I don't think Bowser's Galaxy Reactor is anything super special. It's definitely a decent challenge after everything you've gone through to get here, but I don't know, I feel like it's a bit too short. Music's pretty good though. At last, Mario and Bowser confront each other, and they have one final battle. Again, I'm not a huge fan of this final boss just because I feel like it ends way too early. Like, it's a cool set piece, like they're flying to different planets until they end up in the middle of a giant sun, and like the most intense final boss music I've ever heard starts playing. I don't know, I just wish it lasted a bit longer. And I'm sure you can probably guess what happens next. Mario grabs the last star, flies off, and finally rescues Princess Peach, saving the day. And with that, the game comes to its conclusion. Let's just take a second to go over how most Mario games have ended up to now. Mario defeats Bowser and saves the princess, the game ends. Mario defeats Bowser and saves the princess, the game ends. Mario defeats Bowser and saves the princess, the game ends. Mario defeats Bowser and saves the princess, the game ends. Mario defeats Bowser, saves the princess, giant black hole appears and begins destroying everything. So, you know, that's an interesting development. It's such a contrast to what was happening too. Like, we beat the bad guy, we should be done, right? But no, Galaxy throws one more curveball and gives us this. And it's quite the scenario too. Like, look at this thing. Look at the way it demolishes everything. Look at what it does to the observatory. This safe space you've spent the entire game returning to life gets totally eviscerated. It's intense, and for the first time, it looks like a threat that Mario won't be able to defeat. And let me remind you that he's slain demons. So how exactly do we walk out of this situation? Rosalina appears before Mario one more time. She mentions the life cycle of stars, how they die and turn to stardust, and how that stardust eventually forms new stars. However, the cycle never repeats itself in quite the same way. When Mario next awakens, he finds that he, Peach, Bowser, and everyone else are back on their home planet. Peach's castle is back in its usual spot, and it looks like things are back to normal.
Welcome, new galaxy!
There's something about this ending, just in the way it plays out. I don't know, there's just something like, I don't even know, it just makes you think. For all that I've said about Super Mario Galaxy, for everything I've praised and have shown my fascination for, I realize that I probably haven't really justified the title of this video. What is that special quality that this game has? What makes it so beloved? What is the ethereal beauty of Super Mario Galaxy? Well, actually, no, maybe I think I have answered that question. What makes this game special is, well, it's a lot of things. It's the atmosphere, it's the characters, it's how it all wraps up. There's a melancholic feeling to it all, this overarching sense of sadness. But I don't mean that in a negative fashion. I mean that in the sense that it's a very happy kind of sadness, as contradictory as that may sound. There's a really good video out there called The Quiet Sadness of Super Mario Galaxy, and to be honest, it's partially what inspired me to make this video. But there's a certain clip in that video that I think pretty much sums up what I'm trying to get at here.
What it wants to communicate through this design isn't despair. It's more like the sadness at the end of a birthday party or coming home after a vacation. There's a moment when happiness leaves you, but that moment you eventually realize is good.
To summarize things, I think the reason why Super Mario Galaxy stands out and why people consider it to be so special is because of what it tried to be. It tried to be more than just another Mario game. It tried to create the kind of feelings that don't usually come up with a game like this, especially when it comes to Mario. And that's why so many people love it, myself included. It's unique. Look, I'm not gonna stand here and say that it's a perfect game. No game is. But at the same time, it's so very much its own thing. It's something that I don't think can ever be replicated. And no matter how much Nintendo, or anyone for that matter, may try, it's just one of those things that can't be done twice. And that's it. That's the beauty of Super Mario Galaxy. It's just unique.